property wasn't wealth, wasn't money. I wrote time. Because I realised what I actually wanted was time with my kids while they were little, not with my grandkids in 20 or 30 years' time. But the trouble was my business model was a 20 or 30 year business model. That's when I was going to have the time. So I had to change the business model. If I wanted time now, things had to change. So I thought, all right, how do I get time? And in order to get time, I needed an income stream that I didn't have to physically trade time for money. And the trouble was, I was trading time for money. You know, and a client would come in and I'd start the clock. And they'd leave and I'd stop the clock and I'd charge them for the time. I'd get out their work and I'd start the clock and I'd do their work and then I'd stop the clock, you know. Even a toilet break had to be timed into 3-minute intervals because you had to allocate the time, you know. And that's the life of an accountant. So I decided, okay, well, how do I get this time? Now, as an accountant, I was relatively lucky in a lot of instances because I had a whole bunch of clients. So I go, okay, well, which one's working? I'll just copy them. And I looked at them all, and I looked at all the businesses, and the only one who had the lifestyle that I wanted was the retirees, but I didn't want to spend the 20 or 30 years to get there. So I was like, no, that's not going to work. So I looked at businesses. I even looked at buying a hairdressing salon and building it up to a national hairdressing franchisee, whatever. And I go, no, I already got a business. I got an accountancy practice. I can do that with that if I want to. So like, no, that's not going to work. I was already leveraging my time with my employees and whatever else, but I needed to do something faster than that. So then I looked at the other businesses. I looked at multi-level marketing. I even went and joined Amway. And yeah, any of those multi-level marketing, they work. You look at your downline, you know, and the numbers and how it flows through and everything. Mathematically, they absolutely worked. What didn't work was me. Didn't suit my personality. I looked at internet marketing. The shares, you know. I'd been a financial controller of a stockbroking firm in my career, and I know my way around the other side of shares. I may be openly biased against them, but that comes from years of a jaded opinion of what actually happens behind the scenes and how the market is actually manipulated, but that's my opinion. So I had a lot of share traders, and I had CFD traders, currency traders, options traders, you know, I had gold traders, I had everybody. Any kind of trader you could possibly imagine, I had them in my accountancy practice because I knew that market very well. So there's a lot of things from a tax perspective I could help them with. But the thought of little green lines going one way and little red lines going the other way bored me stupid. And from a risk analysis perspective, for me to get what I needed fast enough, shares were not going to cut it of any description. Trading of any description was not going to cut it because it wasn't consistent and solid enough, consistently solid to be able to get that level of income. And I needed more money than I had to be able to get the level of income that I needed. I was like, no, not doing that. So I thought, let's look at property. Now, when I looked at property, I had two different types of clients. I had those that were typically builders, they were developers and builders that they were tradies who'd come up through the ranks. They might have been a brickie, they might have been an electrician, they might have been whoever that have come up through the ranks, and you know they got to do their first speccey, and then they did a duplex, and then they might have gone off and done something else, and you know they were developing. And I looked at that, and from a business model perspective, there's a lot of flaws in that industry, and I looked at that and I thought, well, you know, I wouldn't do things this way and that way, and I could fix all of those things. But the fact is that it's money out, money out, money out before any money comes in. And I didn't have enough money to go out to start with, and the time frame, it was too big for me at that stage. I looked at it and thought, I can do that better than the industry, but it's not for me right now. It's not the answer for what I need right now because I had very little money. So I go, okay, what else? I looked at the other side of my clients, and they were all negative gearing. Probably because I told them to. But I'm paying my penance now, okay? I'm telling you, don't do it. And I looked at myself and I go, I don't have any extra cash. I cannot work any harder. I can't trade any more time. Time is a limited resource to get any money to funnel into something that's going to cost me every week to hold. So I thought, well, maybe if I bought something that actually didn't cost me anything, maybe in some point in time in the future it'll grow in value and I'll make some money. So logistical head comes on and goes, right, give yourself a month. Come up with a strategic plan to get yourself out of this poo and, a plan of attack for the future. So I go, right, from 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock, that's the time that I allocated for myself. So 5 o'clock comes around, and I did everything. Once I got out there and started to look for positive cash flow properties, I found that there's heaps of them. There's plenty of positive cash flow properties around if you know what to look for. And
So we wrote them down, and for us, I always need a gauge. I need to see what is possible and what is doable. And for me, 18 months was how long it took for Dimpner to replace your income. So that's what I set myself with my wife to replace my income in 18 months, so I could be out of work in 18 months. And so we set that, and within 13 months I'd had left work. And, that's about 5 months quicker than you did it. But no, that's not a competition. But if it was a competition, I won.